All right, today I'm going to be showing you guys an AI that converts designs into production-ready code that matches your team's standards. So most design-to-code tools gives you generic output that doesn't fit your code base. It's domain specific, so you define rules for how you want code to look and behave, such as naming patterns, folder structures, component conventions. So whatever matters to your team, Kombai encodes those rules and generates code that aligns with the existing practices instead of forcing its own style. So you get clean component structures that work with any stack, React, Vue, Angular, plain HTML. So whatever you're using, and because the rules shape every generation, Kombai becomes a consistent extension of your standards. So not a one-off generator that you have to fix every single time. So you learn how to set it up, use its mode to get maintainable code, and define rules that keeps output aligned with your conventions. So by the end, you'll know how to turn designs into shapeable code that fits your code base. So in this video, we're going to do a few demo, which are typically what you will be doing when building a UI from scratch. First, we will create a UI based on Figma design. And then second, we will be building a UI based on a screenshot. And lastly, we will update what we have built using the resource library, which is pretty cool. And I'll introduce some updates to the UI. I'm very excited to show you what it's capable of. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's talk about the setup process for Kombai, which is available as an IDE extension inside of VS Code, Cursor, Anti-Gravity, Windsurf, Tray, or Kiro. I'm going to be using Windsurf for this demo. So let's go ahead and get started with setting it up. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Windsurf. So we're going to go ahead and open up the extensions, and we're going to go and search, and we're going to go and install it. This should take a few seconds. And once you have it installed, you should see an icon on the left-hand side. If you're not seeing the icon, do a Control-Shift-P and toggle the Kombai chat window. So I moved mine to the right-hand side, which you can do by right-clicking and moving it to the right-hand side. And if this is your first time using Kombai, you're going to have to log in or sign up for an account, which will open up a browser window. So once you have logged in, you're going to see a window like this. So let's go ahead and let's go through the different modes within Kombai. So first, with code, which is a default option when working with Kombai. Code mode is for generating code based on selected tech stack. The second option is ask. It is for use for searching and understanding the existing code base. It is ideal for familiarizing yourself with the code base or asking general questions about anything UI related or front end type of queries. So this is very similar to ChatGPT or when you're interacting with any of these LLM tools out there. And then the last one that they have is called plan mode, which is a fairly new mode that they just added recently. It is used for generating a detailed code plan for the given input. It is ideal for complex front-end tasks and high-level planning. Next thing I want to walk you through is the different settings right here. If you do toggle this quick settings, I'm going to be able to auto run all commands. So usually when it executes certain commands, such as it does in the terminal, it will ask you if it can execute certain commands. So you can just toggle this so you can auto run all of the commands automatically without having to intervene and ask you for follow-up type of permission. And then if you look at below the prompt window is you can attach a Figma link design to your prompt. And then you can also attach an image. So on the bottom right here, you can also run the project. So you can instruct it to actually run the project. It can determine what type of technology or stack you're already using. It will figure out how to run the project automatically. And it's going to open up in a special window where you can interact and select something on the screen. We're going to go over the tools later on once we start editing the project that we are going to be building today. You can manage rules. You can also modify the tech stack as well. So if you have a preference to what type of tech stack you want to use for your project, you can select the project type that you want to use. They support a variety of project types. So unlike other tools out there, they support numerous ones: React, Vue, Angular, Svelte, Solid, JS, all of these various tech stack, Flutter, even React Native for mobile. Some frameworks, so if you're using Next.js or Vite or certain technologies, you can select any of these. Build tools, component libraries, there's an assortment of component library where you can choose from. Material UI, Chakra, Mantine, ShadCN, NextUI, Tailwind versions. You can select which version of Tailwind you want to use. If you prefer TypeScript over JavaScript, you can also select it here. All right, so the first thing I want to show you guys is how to import your existing Figma design into Kombai so we can build a UI for it. So we're going to go ahead and go to the community section of Figma and browse for a good design that we can use just for this demo. So we're going to go ahead and navigate to the various designs here that is in the community section of Figma. So if you want something to play with, just go to the community section and look for the template that you want to play with. So we're going to be using this e-commerce. So if you have a Figma design in your organization that you want to use, feel free to do that as well. So we're going to go and click on this e-commerce website design, and we're going to open it up in Figma and import this into our account. So once this is in our account, we're going to go and zoom in so you can see the design in its entirety. So we're going to go and zoom up here. So you can see that there's various pages into this Figma design, this cover, and there's also this Figma website design. There's also various layers as well. So when you're trying to import this into Kombai as a design, just make sure that all the various layers are selected within these pages. So we're going to go and right click this, and then we're going to do a copy paste as, and then copy link to selection. So that's going to give us the URL that we can paste into Kombai. So now let's go ahead and switch to Windsurf again, and let's click on this add Figma link. So if this is your first time connecting to Figma into Kombai, we're going to have to click on connect Figma, and it's going to open up the new tab, and it's going to ask for permission to be able to access your Figma account. And we're just going to go ahead and say allow access. And then let's open up Windsurf once again, go back to Windsurf. And then from here, you can enter your Figma URL, which we're going to be pasting the URL that is in our clipboard now. And then from here, we can just do a confirm, and that's going to paste that URL as part of the prompt window. So the next thing I want to do here is I want to click on the tech stack, which tech stack you want to use on this project. So we're going to be selecting React. Framework, we're going to be using Next.js 16. For the build tool, we're going to be using Vite. Component library, we're going to be using ShadCN. CSS implementation, I don't have a preference there. We're just going to go with Tailwind version 4. And then TypeScript, we're going to be using App Router for the router. State management, we're going to be using the Redux toolkit along with the RTK query. So we're going to go ahead and hit save here. After we have selected the various technology that we want to use for the project, I'm just going to go ahead and paste the prompt that we're going to be using to create UI based on this Figma design. So we're going to build a clean and responsive base app and provide based on the provided Figma design, following best practices for accessible mobile first, responsiveness, and consistent styling. Break the design into reusable and functional components that match the layout, spacing, typography, and interactions shown in the Figma. Ensure all elements scale well on different sizes, screen sizes, and implement proper states, hover, active, disabled, and keep the code organized, readable, and maintainable. So after all that, let's go ahead and just send everything to Kombai and let it do its thing. So now it's going to go and fetch the Figma files and grab the typography, the colors, the various elements within that design, and try to add it into context. All right, so after a few seconds, you can see here that it's fetched the skills, setting up Next.js, setting up Tailwind. Just want to make sure that I toggle chat settings to auto run all commands here, so it executes commands automatically. So now it's installing all dependencies for Next.js, React, and there's the dependencies that we have here. So it's now initializing ShadCN in the project. So the output is running through the terminal and as well as the command window right here. It's also adding various components that it needs for the ShadCN components. It's also being installed at the moment. So what's cool about this, it's going to perform and fetch all the assets from the design, and it's going to search for icons that it can use. They're very similar to what we have in the Figma design, which is pretty nice. So now it's generating the various files. It's copying the icons from the Lucid React and also the images as well, image assets. It's building out the global CSS, and it's building the various components and also the mock data. So it's going to slowly build out the components for us. You can see here it's being generated. It's going through it systematically. Let's just wait till it finishes generating all the various components for us. All right, so once it's completed, it's going to go and automatically run the project. So since we have it selected to auto run, it's just going to go ahead and execute it. So it's running on localhost port 3000. And then perfect. Now it's running and it has a detailed summary of what it has done, the components created, the features that's implemented. So let's go ahead and check it out and how similar it is to the design that we had earlier. So we're gonna go open up a new window dedicated to it. So you can see here at the bottom corner where you can see that it's connected to the e-commerce Kombai. So this is the project that currently that we are working on. So we can inspect the page, we can make some changes to the design. We can click on this icon right here, which will open up the window and click on certain elements. For instance, if I have this selected, I can go ahead and hover over anywhere on the screen and we can select certain parts of the design and send it as part of the prompt. We can also do snip certain parts. So if we click on the snip icon, we can go and take sort of like a screenshot of what we want to change on the page, which is pretty cool. And then we can say change this to something else. We're just gonna go and say, please check if the website is mobile friendly. And it's gonna go open up the window. So it's gonna go ahead and navigate to that localhost 3000. And it's gonna check for responsiveness automatically. So without me touching the mouse. And so you can see here that it found a horizontal scroll issue on mobile. So let me investigate which elements are causing this. All right, so after it's completed its testing, it's give us a detailed summary of what it found regarding the mobile responsiveness. It found that the top bar and the header and navigation are working as expected, except for there's things that needs to be improved, such as touch target sizes and so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and check it out ourselves. Also want to make sure that the sliders and the menus are working. Please make sure that the menus are functional and the slider is working. All right, so after I provided the prompt, it says that it found the issue. It was able to interact with the browser automatically, and then it found the issue. So the carousel buttons are disabled and the navigation also don't have a drop-down functionality. So let me fix both the carousel and the navigation menu. So it's gonna go ahead and be able to do the test for us. So if it's missing any components, such as the drop-down menu component, it's gonna go ahead and install it automatically. So now that it's been updated, perfect. Now let me update the hero banner to properly track the current slide. So after it has completed its fixes, it says perfect. All right, so now it's completed its fixes. So we can go ahead and check out the design that it built for us after the fixes for the UI. As you can see, the slider is now functional, as well as the menu on the top. For the most part, it captured the Figma design very well. You can see the products on the bottom, as well as the footer. Everything looks cool and it looks very similar to the original design as we have here on the screen. All right, so the next thing I want to show you guys is how to build a UI design based on an image. So I have this similar tech stack that I have selected from the previous project. I have a brand new folder for this specific demo, and we're going to be attaching an image to this chat window. We're going to be on planning mode, quick settings, make sure that we have auto run on commands, same tech stack that we had before. I'm just going to go back into Chrome. So this is the image that we're going to be using for this. It's fairly complex as well. There's a lot of things going on the screen, so it can demonstrate how Kombai can tackle complex UI scenarios. So we're going to go ahead and take this image right here, and we're going to go ahead and just copy image. And we're going to go back into Windsurf and just paste this inside of chat window, right? So you're going to have it attached right here. And we're going to go and copy a prompt similar to the previous one. We're just going to go and paste it on the screen. So instead of the Figma design, we're going to be specifying that to build a clean, responsive website UI based on the provided design image, following best practices, and so on and so forth, to generate the various screen sizes and incorporate proper interaction states and keep the structure organized, readable, and easy to maintain. Since it's coming from an image, it's going to be asking for some clarifying questions. Use the static. Let's just go with A and then hit enter. So it's currently going to the tech stack. You can expand on it. You can see that all the selections that we had in the tech stack, and it's now building the design plan for the implementation before we can implement this. So it's going to go to the typography, the color palette, making sure the structure are correct so that there's a layout structure, You can see that there's a color system. So if you need to modify any of these, you can modify it. So according to the organization's typography or design system that you already have, you can modify this file. You can click on edit. This is just a markdown file of the plan.md. So everything here is editable and you can change any of these, including what's the definition of done. So I created a definition of done. It also has a to-do list as well. So it looks pretty decent, and we're just going to go ahead and just approve this. All right, so it should automatically execute the command since I have it toggled to auto execute, auto run all commands. So now once it's created the initial creation of the Next.js app, it's going to go and install the animation frameworks, the framer motion, Lucid React, and some of the dependencies that it needs for the project. And now it's currently building out the individual components for the project that it needs. All right, so it looks like it has completed majority of the tasks that it has created, and it's now trying to run the project. So npm run dev. All right, so we can go ahead and click on this URL. And also it has a README file of what it has completed, different features, pages, and the design overview. Basically just created a giant README file. You can go ahead and open that up if you want to and just inspect it. It will give you some instructions on how to run the project, which is nice. So I think I screwed up a little bit. So I provided the image here and it created for the various pages within the screenshot. I didn't specify enough details to just create the dashboard here, but nonetheless, it created the pages, but it's just not what I wanted. But we can take a look at it and I'll show you how it looks like. So the actual page that generated looks very similar to what we have provided, including the color scheme and also the different typography for that pages. So this is what it has built, the UX design. It actually built everything how it is on the screenshot, which is pretty crazy. You can see here that including the various pages for the UX design, product strategy, and so on. So we can go through it. So if you go to the dashboard or if you go to the home page, you can see here that you can click on the overview, design, outcome, documentation. Everything is working. You can see the web design, the dashboard. There's also, I have to add an additional prompt to generate the dashboard. As you can see here, we can click on the dashboard and now it matches the dashboard that we have over here in the screenshot. So one thing that I noticed here is everything looks pretty good, except for some icons here that's missing. The forecast expenses, customers, income, everything is here except for some data. There's no data in the middle of where the revenue forecast is. So we can include some additional prompt here so we can modify this revenue forecast to include some mock data and so we can have something in the chart. So we're going to go and click on this thing at the bottom. It's going to go ahead and expand that window. Now we can hover anywhere on the page, such as the revenue forecast, right? So we can toggle between the snip screen region and then also this selection of elements within the screen. So we're going to keep it as selecting elements, and we're just going to go where it says revenue forecast, and we're just going to go and select the whole thing. And we're just going to say, please include data. So we have a functional chart for revenue forecast. So we're just going to go and send it to chat, which will then we have to go back into Windsurf. Now the chat window has been populated with everything that we want to include in the prompt. So we're going to go ahead and hit send. And as you can see right here, it's installing recharts, which is a library that we want to use for the charts. All right, so it looks like it's been completed. Perfect. I've completed and added a functional revenue forecast chart with mock data using recharts. Let's go ahead and switch back to the page. And as you can see here, it's been updated with some plot data to visualize that the revenue forecast is actually working. So that's how you modify and include some modifications. So one thing that I want to note here is how clean the structure is for the various components within the project. So you can see the app, within the app, there's various pages, and then each folder has its own page. And also if you go into the components, you can drill down and take a look at the components. Everything's pretty clean as far as I can see. And let's have some fun here and let's go ahead and modify this page and introduce some additional components from their resource library. So if you click here on the bottom, I don't know if I've mentioned it earlier, but you can click on this icon right here at the bottom where it says resource library below where the prompt window is. So we can go ahead and click on it. It's going to open up a page dedicated to resource library for Kombai. So if you click on that page, it's going to take you to this resource library, which will allow you to be able to add UI library into the project, which is pretty nice. So they have UI library, they have some designs inspirations. So you can include some of these UI elements inside of your project. So design inspirations, if you want some inspirations from other project, if you want some color schemes that you want to incorporate to your project, you can go here as well. So we can take a look at some of these. So what's cool about this is you can take the color scheme or typography from this page and incorporate it into your project. So you can just click on any of these. Let's say you want to use colors for the color palette and be able to select it. Let's go and just click on it. And it's gonna give you an instruction here in how to incorporate it into your project. So let's go and go to the resource. So it's gonna open up a new tab. It's gonna take up to the dedicated colors page. And from here, you can choose your color palette and you can mix and match by hitting the space bar. Just give you some random colors, or you can just change one of these. Let's say you wanna view the shades and you wanna change the shade for this one to a different one. You can do that. You're still connected to the project. If you look at the bottom right corner, you can see that you're connected to the project. So you can still select anything from this page and instruct it to do with the color selected on the page. For instance, if I select a color here, let's say this color right here, or all of the colors here, let's say you want to incorporate all these colors, you can just say, I want to incorporate all these colors into the project. So we can just prompt here, let's incorporate the selected the pages, and you can specify if you want to change the font to this color or whatever else on the page. Another thing that you can do while you are in the resource library for Kombai is you can take a look at the different UI libraries. So for instance, you want to look at the Magic UI, incorporate some of the things here. So let's go ahead and go to the resource library. So you can incorporate any of the components within libraries that they have listed in the resource library here. So you can inspect and take a look at the various components that they have here. They have marquee, they have terminal, they have all these different components that you can use. Let's have some fun here and incorporate the typing animation, which is part of the Magic Components library. So this is the typing component. So all we have to do is, since we're connected to the financial dashboard Kombai project, is we're gonna go ahead and just toggle that, and then we're just gonna go ahead and select that specific component. So this is the component that we want to incorporate in our project. Just go ahead and highlight that. And then let's just say, let's use the typing animation for the, and let's just go and change this one right here to that typing animation. So we're just gonna go and say, let's use a typing animation for the UI Power Financial Forecast Dashboard and SaaS website text. And let's send it to the chat. I don't think we need this one right here. So we're just gonna go ahead and just stick with the typing animation and send it to chat. Now that's been sent, let's go back into the Kombai and let's just hit send. All right, so it's gonna add the typing animation. So now it's building out the animation for the typing animation for Magic UI. All right, so after a few seconds already completed, I've successfully added a typing animation to the hero text in the homepage. So let's go ahead and check it out. So let's go ahead and go to that tab. As you can see here, that's able to incorporate the typing text that we have chosen from the Magic UI library. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. And the results speaks for themselves, right? So Kombai beats general purpose agents on compilation success, code review, pass rate, and feature implementation. So that's the difference between a generic converter and a domain-specific agent that actually understands front-end work. So if you like this type of video and got some value out of it, please hit and do subscribe to see more videos like this one. And I'll see you on the next one.